of horror
start
and disbelief.
chess and
But if you're honest now, you will keep your dignity, and ultimately you will be very glad about that. Life is not worth living without it.
Play there.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson
that's
Tonight. Here's some bracing news we never expected to report.
There.
Black Lives Matter is now more popular than the President of the United States, and not slightly more popular than the President, much more
starting
popular.
From the side.
A survey this week by Rasmussen, a right-leaning pollster, found that 62% of likely voters now have a favorable opinion of Black Lives Matter. At the same time, Rasmussen found that Donald Trump's approval rating was 43%. That's almost 20 points lower. And by the way, Trump was not alone. Black Lives Matter is far more popular than Joe Biden is, too. It's more popular than America's religious institutions, all of them. It's more popular than the media, the Congress, and big business. Black Matters is more popular by double digits than both the Democratic and the Republican parties. It's almost as popular as the U.S. military. It's much more popular than the Pope. The numbers are astounding, but the polls are not the only measure of it. Here's a Black Lives Matter rally from over the weekend in New York. Look at that picture. That is an ocean of people. Ask yourself the last time you saw a candidate for office who was able to draw a crowd like that. The media, in their relentlessly fawning coverage, usually describe Black Lives Matter as an activist group or a protest movement. But that's deception by understatement. Black Lives Matter is not a collection of marchers with signs. It's not a conventional political lobby like Planned Parenthood or the NRA. It's not pressuring Congress to pass some narrow new set of laws. Black Lives Matter is far more ambitious than that. It is working to remake the country and then to control it. It's a political party. As of tonight, Black Lives Matter may be the single most powerful political party in the United States. Nobody says that out loud, but politicians understand it perfectly well. Nothing else. They understand power. They can smell it at great distances. And that's why they're lining up to bow before Black Lives Matter.
You can't really reform a department that is rotten to the root.
We've heard our people cry out, I can't breathe. We've heard our people speak out, Black Lives Matter. This is a systemic problem that requires a comprehensive solution.
What I would say is that there's a legitimacy to this anger. There's a legitimacy to this outrage.
It's just 5 minutes game.
None of what you just saw is a stretch for Democrats. They believe their long-term goals align with those of Black Lives Matter. In fact, at times the group functions as an arm of the Democratic Party. More telling, though, and more ominous is the response from many Republicans. They've been happy to go along as well, or in Mitt Romney's case, even mouth the same slogans.
It means
a way to end violence and brutality, and to make sure that people understand that Black Lives Matter.
That was the former Republican nominee for president. Let that sink in. If there was ever an indicator of how powerful Black Lives Matter has become, you just saw it. Republican leaders brag about their strong conservative convictions, but mostly they just want to be on the winning team, whatever that is. That's why they pause before offending China. It's why when Black Lives Matter tells them to take a knee, they do. It's all pretty strange when you think about it. If the leaders of Black Lives Matter are political actors, and they are, then by definition, you are allowed to have any opinion you want to have about them. Black Lives Matter wants to run the country, therefore you can freely criticize Black Lives Matter. Those are the rules of our system, but not anymore. Imagine a world where you are punished for questioning the behavior of the president or for insulting your local mayor. You probably can't imagine that. It's too bizarre. It's un-American. But that's where we are right now. Black Lives Matter has changed the rules. And here's their first new rule. No criticizing Black Lives Matter. You can be fired from your job if you disobey. Many Americans have been. On Friday, for example, the principal of a public school in Windsor, Vermont, was dismissed from her job for posting the following words on her personal Facebook page, quote, "While I understand the urgency to feel compelled to advocate for Black lives, what about our fellow law enforcement? Just because I don't walk around with a BLM sign should not mean I'm a racist," end quote. Unfortunately, the principal's boss disagreed. The superintendent of Windsor Schools described the quote you just heard as, quote, outright racist. Windsor, Vermont, by the way, is more than 97% white. Also on Friday, an economist called Harold Uhlig lost his job at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago for daring to offer even milder criticism than that. On Twitter, Uhlig noted that Black Lives Matter had, quote, just torpedoed itself with its full-fledged support of hashtag defund the police. Now is the time, Eulig noted, quote, for sensible adults to enter back into the room and have serious, earnest, respectful conversations about it all. That was a racist statement, the Federal Reserve concluded, so they fired Harold Eulig. We could give you many other examples of the same thing happening. There are a lot of them. Black Lives Matter now enjoys almost complete immunity from criticism. This is unprecedented for an American political movement. But Black Lives Matter is even more powerful than that. It has single-handedly revised our moral framework. Yes, Black lives do matter. That is a statement of fact, and no decent person doubts that it is true, because it is. And it's true precisely because every life matters. We are all human beings, every one of us. We have souls. Skin color is irrelevant to moral value. Until recently, this was considered obvious. Saying it was regarded as a virtue. All lives matter equally. All of us were created by God. In the end, all of us will die. Nothing can change that. Not wealth, not fame, not race. Every life is precisely as valuable as every other life. And by the way, that idea forms the basis of the Christian faith. It's the entire premise behind our founding documents.
Out already.
And yet suddenly, thanks to Black Lives Matter, you can no longer say it out loud. Affirming the fundamental equality of all people is now considered hate speech. You can be fired for saying it. Again, many people have been.
It was a bad game there.
This is a dangerous moment.
Check the time very well.
How did we get here? In a word, quickly. It happened fast.